Hello, my dear Ashley. How do you do today?
I am good. How are you?
Oh, just fabulous.
Excellent.
I am excited to talk about the energy healing that we
Yes.
have been doing on each other. I know you have sent me some energy healing all the way from Colorado, and I know I've sent you some all the way from Illinois.
Yes. Yep.
And one of the things that I have been asked was, how does that work if you're not in the same room with the person?
Mm-hmm.
And then we say that we're all connected by energy. It's all about intention, focused, and spirit does the rest. We're just channels, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, do we have any experiences that you have had, would like to talk about?
Sure. So I'd like to preface my experiences by telling the audience that I did not always feel and see and
Oh,
experience what I'm about to experience or what I'm about to share about my experiences. Um, when I first started my journey and I was introduced to Reiki and energy healing, uh, everything was in person. And, I had watched a bunch of videos and I had read a bunch of articles and talked to people in like the yoga community. And anytime that they've done energy healing, they're like, oh, I feel this and I get a vision of this, or I felt this and I experienced this. And like, I was like, cool, that sounds like really cool. I want to experience it. And the first few times I did energy healing or Reiki, specifically in person, I never felt any of those things. And then 2020 happened, the world was shut down, and then everything went remote and virtual and, what we know technology and stuff as it is today. And so I really had to let go of any sort of expectation of what I was going to feel when doing these distance energy healings because again my thought is like I'm such an in-person person, like I love the energy exchange between like you and I in person or me and this other person in person. I really I thrive on that social piece. So to do a distance energy healing like over Zoom or like over the phone where I don't even see you, I'm like, I don't know if I'm not really gonna like this. And
you don't get that from your mom, do you?
I definitely get that from my mom because she is also an in-person person. Um,
Love you,
she
Nancy.
I wanted to text her, was it yesterday, and be like, forget the process, trust the process, blah, 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 because that's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
how I feel.
Oh,
Um, Trusting the process with energy healing, distance wise. But yeah, so like trying to let go of the expectation that I'm going to feel something right away, like on anything that you do and on this path, like you have to be open to
yeah,
experiences that are not considered normal or um like I don't know, like some of the things that I experience now in my sessions, whether I'm receiving the healing or I'm giving the healing, like you really have to be in tune with your body and what's happening on the inside. So like the
yeah,
buzz phrase of going inward, I feel like really is a bigger and more powerful phrase than we really realize.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
like the energy healing and stuff, like I will say, and I think it's just because I'm putting that projection out there and I won't let go of, of it, but like the in-person to me, I feel like is always going to be more powerful. And that is totally just that is me, that's my thought. And it's just because I'm such a social person, I enjoy that personal in-person connection. I still feel it distance wise, but um it's not as big, but that's because I'm not allowing myself to feel it.
Okay, if you have to say that, I get I accept it. I believe it or not, I mean, I like both experiences. It has the more you're open to it, the more you feel is what
Oh,
I
for sure.
and not being attached to the outcome because everybody has different experiences, different they see things differently, they feel things differently. So it's really an individual experience for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I lately, so I've been doing this for what, 6 years now, professionally.
Okay.
And I lately, when I give distance healing, I feel like I'm in the room with the person. I
Mm.
will feel like I will place my hand on somebody's legs and I will feel the legs in my hand.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, you know? But yeah, it really, if you're gonna doubt it or feel like, well, how did that work, whatever,
Mhm.
you might not feel it, you know.
Mhm.
But this is also true for in person as well.
Mhm.
I've had people who were like, this is crazy, this is nuts, whatever. And because it was so close to it, they just refuse to accept it, you know? So you have to really be open to the experience and not really have any outcome attachments to the outcome, you know?
Mhm.
So you're
Well, and I
right.
think too, to add to it, letting go of the outcome and the expectation of what you're expecting from whatever you're doing, um, like tying it back into really feeling what's happening in on your inner world and being embodied in your body. Um, I know that I have, from a very young age, I have programmed myself that my body things that intuitively come through, I'm crazy or you're not supposed to know those things, you're not supposed to see those things, you're not supposed to feel those things. So I shut all of that off. So I was not open to anything else coming through until tying back into our last episode, inner child healing, until I told my younger self that shut all of it down. Like, it's okay to feel these things. And like some of those things, may be like the energy healings and stuff that I've gotten from you and other people that I've seen throughout the years. One big one is like grounding. Like a
Yes.
lot, I specifically, I was trained, I became a Reiki practitioner through you and Lisa's program that you guys came up with. And even while I was going through the training, I didn't feel as much as I do now. And I still went through the training and like passed. And we'll talk about my initiation into it and like when things really opened up for me when we, get to that point in the episode. But, like being aware of those subtle changes in your own energy, in your own body are going to be huge to experiencing the bigger things that the veil and the universe and stuff have to offer. So, like, I was bringing up the grounding. I always personally start with grounding when I'm working on someone or even myself,
Mhm.
to just ground you in the present moment and like the feeling that I have gotten personally, and I've heard it from different people too. Um, like I will work on the legs and I'll kind of ground the energy in the legs to keep you rooted here, and my legs will feel like they're 5,000 pounds. Like if I even tried to move it on the table or on the bed or whatever, like I couldn't move it. And it just feels like I've got a
Yeah.
stack of rocks.
Right? Yes. And you can't talk about energy healing without not mentioning the chakras, right? So
Oh,
you're,
yes, yes.
you're talking about grounding. That's the root chakra,
Yep.
which is at the base of your spine. And then you got the sacral, and then you had the solar plexus, and then you had the heart, throat, third eye, and the crown. In my experiences, it is so interesting to me how the upper chakras are more clear and open than the lower chakras, which is always
Hmm.
congested. That's from the self-empowerment, all the personal things as a human that we need to experience that we close ourselves off to.
Hmm.
Not being grounded, meaning literally walk in the grass barefoot, hug a tree, play in the dirt, be outside, be with nature. That's grounding. And just a side note, dark chocolate, like in the winter months,
Oh,
dark
yes.
chocolate is grounding too. But also like beets and carrots, those things are anything
Hmm.
from the ground, the
Root
vegetables. Uh,
vegetables.
yes, thank you. Root vegetables. You know. Um, and the state goal is more for creativity and really tapping into that energy, tapping into your imagination. And that's all part of the energy healing too, because the more wild your imagination goes, the more
Hmm.
you experience, the more you
Absolutely.
feel. It's so, I love it. I love it. You had given me an energy healing. Gosh, when was it? It
It
was
was
a little bit
recently.
ago.
Yeah, I would say it was recently. Because when you're
Yeah,
going through all of your stuff
yeah,
physically.
yeah. My stop. What was it? I was having a headache. I was getting congested. I was
Hmm.
getting all these these crazy sensations, and you had sensed it. My headache went away. My nose cleared up. And I think one of the major things is my throat. I always cough because
Hmm.
self-expression, that kind of stuff. And then
Yep.
you all of a sudden it was like I can breathe. It was
Hmm.
so I mean it worked. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
have that we're connected by energy. We all are,
Hmm.
and it's just where you focus your intentions and your 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 energy, you're focusing your energy at
Yeah.
that
Literal.
and that trust where you need it the most. The energy will go where you need it the most.
Yep. Well, and
But
I'd like to share a little story. So I grew up glamping, meaning we had campers and things like that. I never went tent camping. And when I was a kid, I wound up getting a bunch of warts on my one foot. I had 32 at one point, I counted.
mm,
And they were super painful and they limited like how long I could wear shoes and like what kinds of shoes depending on like how it would rub and things like that. Well, anyways, um my family and I, we went camping and they wanted to go for a hike or a walk or whatever around the campground. And my foot was really bothering me. And I had stayed in the camper. We had a TV. The only channels that came through were like the local whatever channels. Um, and I remember putting on, I call it the Jesus channel because it was like, you know, people in a church and they were being recorded and it was like a bunch of healing sessions and growing up Catholic, those types of things you heard about in the Bible, people getting these healing powers. And I always wanted to be that person. I wanted to be a healer. And so I was watching this Jesus channel thing happen, and this preacher, priest, healer guy, whatever his title was going through this healing session. People were coming up and he's putting his hands on them. And I know you had talked about this in a previous episode of your experience of going to camp and people putting hands on you and you weren't sure what was
yeah,
happening. And
yeah,
uh, so this was just like broadcasted on TV. And at one point, the guy was like, "Okay, for you people sitting at home, like." like put in your mind the thing that you want to heal. It could be hip pain, it could be gout, it could be a sinus infection. He's naming off all these like ailments, physical diseases. And I'm like 10 years old, and so I was like, I'm gonna heal my warts. So he's like, okay, yada, yada, yada. And he goes through this prayer and he's like, okay, now I need you to put your hand on the TV and I need you to think about the healing energy coming from my hand, going through the TV into your hand to whatever space in your body that you're trying to heal. And so I was like, I got nothing else to lose because at that point I had gotten the warts cut off and they grew back. I had gotten them frozen off and they came back. I think I've gotten them like blowtorch stuff. I tried everything. I tried St. John's wort. That was an herbal remedy that was supposed to help. I read somewhere online you should wear duct tape on the warts to try to like suffocate the mother wart. That
Oh,
didn't.
wow.
So now at this point, fast forward, I'm watching this Jesus channel thing, and I'm like, well, what do I have left to lose? Nothing else worked for these freaking warts. Maybe Jesus will come through and heal my warts. And I don't remember, I put my hand on the TV, we did the prayer thing, I said amen, and then I don't remember at what period of time, but I kind of like stopped thinking about my warts, and then they were just like gone one day, and I was like, oh my God, Mom!
Wow.
So
Wow.
like now, like I haven't thought about that story in a while. I mean, I tell it to everybody because I believe in, like the power of prayer. Like that was a prayer. And
Yeah.
I've kind of always experienced distance healing, even from a young age, because I grew up Catholic and they always tell you, prayers, you're always praying for people, and that person might not be in front of you, that person might be across the world or, a few
Yeah.
times over. If you think about it, praying is kind of like distance healing anyways, like the way that we're speaking about it, at least, the intention, that's what it comes down to. The intention is there, and you're sending that
Yes.
prayer or that
Yeah.
healing, Reiki, whatever, fill in the blank, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the power of prayer. I mean, our words are stronger than we even realize. Our thought, just all energy. And what are you putting out there? Is what you're going to attract there. Our words are magnets. They
Yes.
attract what you speak, right?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I like that story. That's
Yeah.
really,
So
really
that's like my testimony to originally it was like prayer works, but now that I'm kind of in more of a spiritual mindset versus like a religious mindset,
uh-huh.
and at the end of the day, it's all about intention and
It,
energy.
it is. It
So,
really is. And when I used to go to camp as a child, I never understood, like, okay, yeah, they're praying over me, but yeah, it was the energy healing. And I would just, if they would just knock me out and I would just be asleep for an hour and then it'd wake me up and I would feel so good after,
mhm.
and now that I'm studying with Camp Chesterfield in Indiana with Reverend, oh, I don't know if I can say his name, um, but with the Reverend, one of my mentors, and we do this distant spiritual healing through Zoom over
Mhm.
there, where you've been in it a few
Oh
times.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, right. And just the it's so powerful. I swear. I close my eyes and some people will feel, oh, they felt nice and gentle. I'm not as stressed. And other people will be like, oh my God, the angels came and they were giving me this message and that message. And oh my gosh, my pain is gone. And this is awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
So it's like one of my favorite things to do because I just love how the people just benefit so much from it. And it's more than just a stress reliever. I mean, so the energy can manifest into physical pain or physical ailment
Mhm.
or uncomfortable and stuff like that. But I really feel when you send the energy healing, it transmutes into the physical healing. You
Mhm.
can. I mean, I've had experiences. Again, I don't know if I can talk about it because I haven't gotten permission from people. But there is one person who, where did she live? I want to say she lives in Idaho or Oklahoma, somewhere around there,
Okay.
probably. You know what I mean? And she had a tumor, a cyst at
Mm.
her ovary. And I was like, well, let me send it to you. Oh, she asked me to send it to her. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I did it every day I want to say for like just for a week, every
Okay.
day for a week. And the pain was like she said, the pain is gone. The pain is gone. I'm like, that's awesome, and then she just saying, oh my gosh, this is great. I can move. I'm not doubled over. Blah blah blah. And she went to the doctor and it has shrunk considerably to the
Wow.
point where it was almost it dissolved on its own. So it really is. It really depends on how open you are,
Hmm.
how much you believe in it, how much you want this thing gone. There's a whole lot of factors there. It's not a miracle, and again, we're just channels,
Yes, right.
vessels for the energy to go through.
Well, and I think that too, what comes to my mind right now, I have a book. I do this where I'll somehow a book will come into my awareness of something that I'm interested in learning or hearing about or reading about, and I'll buy the book and then I'll only read a few chapters because it's very dense in information and it's a lot to take in. So then I'll put that book away and then I'll go to another book and then I'll come back to book.
Yeah,
Anyways, I have this book I've been reading for years, and it's just because there's just so much scientific information. It's a book written by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
yes,
And I was introduced to him when I started my yoga teacher journey back in 2019, I think it was. Anyways, long story short, he wound up, I believe, getting into a car accident to where he had a traumatic brain injury or a TBI, and he was paralyzed. I don't remember if it was from the neck down or just the waist down. Either way, the doctors pretty much told him, like, you'll never walk again. You will always be in a wheelchair. Um, if you do this super invasive, super long spinal
yeah,
surgery, there's a chance you might walk again, but it's not guaranteed. This, that, whatever. And he did not accept that answer from the Western medicine doctors and started to look deeper into meditation and self-healing. And he came from like a scientific background he talks about in this book. And he looked into a lot of the research of frequency and sound, therapy and things like that. And he was able to, by visualization and intention and visualizing himself walking, getting out of that wheelchair and actually taking steps without pain, without any sort of gait disruption or like disruption in your walking process and things like that. And he, to this day, like he's a meditation teacher and he does a lot of these conferences and workshops and things like that to show you just how powerful intention in your mind is and how, you know, there is a time and place for Western medicine for sure. But really, if you take the power of the mind and your intention, you could really
yeah,
self-heal yourself with anything. And that's energy is never broken, energy is never lost. It's just transmuted into some different form. And with disease or illness, dis-ease in the body, if you're focusing on that dis-ease and turning it into ease,
yeah,
healthy cells and things like that. So like that is,
right, right. Mind over matter
yeah.
is powerful. It is
Mhm.
so yeah. So I've been working on my own healing for a while, and
Mhm.
so I'm hard of hearing, and because of the illness I had as a baby, and it affected my eyes as well. And for as long as I've been working on this, it with self healing and homeopathy remedies and all this stuff. I believe it's what I do. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
for there's something. The black meaning what do I not want to see? What do I not want to hear? And it won't like I can't figure it out. I don't know if I'm supposed to figure it out or just release it. So I've been working on releasing it since I
Mhm.
can't figure it out. But I've been working on clearing So I had meningitis as a child. And somehow that energy is still within me because it created all these problems. So
Hmm.
we're working on clearing the meningitis. And, you have said to me, and I speak clearer.
Yes, yep.
I've been noticing I am not asking people to repeat themselves as much. So I feel like my hearing actually
Ah,
getting better. And somebody else said to me about, oh wow, you sound so clear.
yeah, you do sound much clearer than when I first met with you. Not that you were hard to understand,
Yeah, but
but
you slow your words. I get it. And
yeah.
one of my major thing was like not saying the endings to words, and I feel like I'm able to hear them better. I
Mhm.
don't know how to explain it. I don't go to the doctor, so there's no way to measure it right now. But I feel like eventually I will notice the difference. I hope.
I
No.
think so. I think, we had a conversation last week, 2 weeks ago, and I asked you how, your journey was going and your experience because I had noticed, you're speaking much more clearer, you're having an easier time pronouncing words. Um, and you can hear the confidence, building up in you too. And um, where was I going with this? I was going somewhere.
That's okay. It'll come back to you.
Well, maybe I was just supposed to
And have
praise you. You
I.
sound more clear.
Yeah. Oh, I hate when that happens. But thank you
Wasn't
for
meant to
saying
be.
that because I really do believe in this energy healing. I really believe in it. And when you can find the root cause of it,
Hmm.
an illness or an emotional upset or something, I really feel like whether you know specifically what it is or not, if you can release that, it will
Hmm.
open up all the pathways and you'll be able to receive the healing distant or in person much
Hmm.
more. I mean, I can't try to remember if it was you or somebody. I remember doing a healing. It was over Zoom, and I felt like I was literally transported into your room where I felt your breath when I had my hands over your face. I felt your arm when I had my hand on your arm. I'm like, what the heck? I'm looking, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still here, and it was just to me, it's amazing, and the messages that can come through, it's
Hmm.
just wow, you had your first experience as a healer doing your occupational therapy, right? And then you decided you wanted to do the energy healing, or how did that work for you?
Um, how did I? So I I was introduced to Reiki when I went to Holistic Happenings in Tinley, and I went in there just to kind of like look around. I grew up down the street from there, and I never really went into there, never felt called to go into there. Um, I was introduced to Reiki from there, and I was not yet an occupational therapist. But I
Oh,
was interested in learning more about energy healing because the more I dove into it, I came into contact, not came into contact like I talked to him. Um, it was brought into my awareness about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and him being a science research guy. And for
okay.
him to be a believer and then for him to actually heal himself, I'm like, whoa, that's powerful, And I know in one of our previous episodes, I had talked about um, from a young age, like I was always drawn to helping people in some sort of healing aspect. I originally wanted to be a massage therapist, and then I was told no
Mm.
by my parents. I wanted to be a yoga teacher because I was introduced to yoga then. I was told no. And then my dad brought home one time a magazine about like different careers in like the medical field. And then that's how I landed on occupational therapy. In working my first actual job as a therapist, once I got my license, I worked in hand therapy. So it was a very intimate setting in the sense that like I'm literally taking your hand or your arm or your shoulder and I'm massaging it, to bring healing to that area, to make sure we're breaking up scar tissue, things like that. I'm stretching your joints to make sure you're not getting contractures and you're staying in whatever position you're in. And I wasn't trained yet, but I started to visualize, like bringing healing into the people that I was seeing so that, a lot of them were workers' comp injuries. So they can go back to their livelihood and work and maybe get a promotion because they're doing so good and this, that, whatever, like I always had a good intention for the people I saw and never really thought of it. Like again, linking it back to a prayer, that's kind of how I was seeing it. But yeah, when I went through a couple of healing sessions, Reiki wise, between you and another practitioner that I had met through holistic happenings. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, because my inner child did not feel safe and shut all of that stuff down from a very young age, I was not open to feeling anything. Maybe a few times I would feel like that grounding in the legs, as somebody receiving the healing. And now that I'm a lot more open and my inner child feels safe, speaking relatively just receiving healing, I can now feel, like you had mentioned, Camp Chesterfield's student healing clinics and stuff while you're in your programs. I
Yeah.
go to a lot of those healing clinics, um, mostly because I like to support small businesses and like things to like help people.
Yeah.
Um, it's free. I'm not gonna lie, that is an incentive for me.
It's a good
But then
incentive,
also,
right?
but then also it's helping you as the student to sharpen your skills and things like that. And to experience different ways that people do their healing
Yeah.
sessions and then the things that you can experience and feel from different people too. Like I've had you a couple of times, like outside of camp as well as inside of camp, like those sessions. And then I've had other people inside of camp and the prayers that come through brings different sensations and different things. The energy techniques, I'm assuming, I know you guys aren't like allowed to talk about that type of stuff, but like maybe the techniques and stuff that you're using have a different feel in the body, or the way that they're presenting it, I don't know, but it's cool once you do it, open yourself up to the experience. Like a meditation I had done with you, um, you had brought in the elements and you had said something about fire starting at the crown and it was burning away, like in the mind, all of my fears and my doubts, my anxieties, all the things that are blocking me logically from moving forward on my path. And then it was moving down and then it was burning stuff that wasn't allowing me to speak my truth. And then we went down and then like the lungs hold grief. And I was in a deep state of grieving at that time. And we burnt out all of the grief and things that no, oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Woo! Um, Another validation of energy, once you have the goosebumps that's saying, yep, you are correct. The universe is saying yes. But like I felt, I was in a controlled um like climate, I was in like an apartment or whatever, and I felt fire. Like I felt like I was literally burning up. As you were saying, okay, we're gonna burn off this and that and whatever. And then you brought in the element of water. And then all of a sudden I just felt
Wow.
like I was going underneath a waterfall, if you will, and then just put out all of those flames so everything could settle. And then at one point you brought in wind. Earth was grounding, so earth would have been the legs feeling heavy. Fire was burning, water cleansing, and then you brought in the wind for whatever reason, I forget. But then I also felt like a cool breeze come over my body. And it's not like the wind is actually coming in through the window. You're actually sending it, and that energy is now coming into my aura, my awareness. And providing me that sensation. So you just have to, long story short, you have to just be open to experiencing those things. And like, I think, at least for me, imagination and visualization is huge. So, like, listening to these meditations and classes and things like that to try to get into that space, like, I really have to work at envisioning, the fire coming down, my chakra
Yeah.
system and burning away all of that stuff. I have to really think of, somebody pouring a bucket of water over my head. It doesn't just come, naturally, especially if society and the programs and things that you have been brought up with told you to stop being creative, stop being imaginative, stop using your imagination, stop being that playful child. You have to work at it. And for me, I definitely, I definitely have to work at it.
Yeah, well, you were one of my favorite clients because you did the work. You
It's
know,
tough,
these
dude.
people, I'm not saying everybody, but there's been times where some people will come and they be like, well, you fixed me. And
Hmm.
I'm like, well, you got to do the work. You have to really, really try and you do the work. I can help facilitate the energy, but you need to do the work. That's the most important thing there. And a lot of, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how would you, for somebody that maybe is just tuning into our podcast or is just coming into alignment of what we're speaking about, how would you define what the work is?
Well, I would define it by, well, first of all, doing the energy work is the start of it all.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things, one of the things,
Right, right.
right? But like the imagination part, I would, like, a lot of people can't visualize, which I was
Hmm.
kind of surprised to hear that, so, oh, okay. So what you do is, and that's why it's all related to your sacral chakra, by the way,
Hmm.
where you tap into that creativity. If you're painting, just go with the flow. Just paint that tree. Make it a pink tree if you want.
Hmm.
That's part of your imagination, right? Or I'll be like, okay, if you can't visualize the fire, think of a candle flame. You can visualize that, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or if I tell you a golden apple with the bite taken out of it, you can visualize that or feel it or you know what that is. So
Hmm.
that's how you start with the little things like, okay, I know fire is hot, so I'm going to visualize the fire as being hot. I feel the heat. I may not see it, but I feel the heat. You see what I mean? So
Yep.
it's not just okay. Here's the other thing. I had a few clients who didn't understand how we see things. They thought we
Mm.
physically see things. And I had to explain, well, it's like a dream. It's like a dream. When you
Hmm.
dream and that's what we see.
See, yep.
So that, you know, or but well, I don't dream. It's okay. Well, then you feel stuff, right? You feel the wind. You feel a dog fur. You feel
Hmm.
that. Those are like impressions that you feel in your heart space. So there's ways to try and tap into your imagination and
Hmm.
your creativity. So the sacral chakra is between your hips and it's orange.
Hmm.
So then I would have them wear orange. Look at orange. Look. Have a hanky that's orange, and every so often just look at it, and that's gonna tap into that creativity,
Hmm.
imagination, that kind of stuff. So I think it begins with trying to understand how you visualize or feel or
Hmm.
stuff like that,
Yeah. And I would
right?
say, yeah, I would say so. And like I'll tie this into when we were going through the Reiki training. So at this point, you had reached out to me, hey, your friend Lisa and yourself are going to start this program and you want to train a few people and kind of put this out there and would I be interested? And I was like, heck yeah, I'm interested. Um, I had gotten trained, or attuned rather, to the first symbol by somebody through holistic happenings. The way that the class was structured, I needed more of a push, I think, and that's just because I allowed the outside world to really dictate what I was doing with my free time. Um, when we were doing it, I think I was working from home at that point. I don't think I was doing anything like in person because I think this was 2021.
I believe so. It was after they took the ban off of
Yeah,
COVID.
everything. So maybe it was
Yeah.
2022. I'll have to look back at my pictures. Anyways, it was 21 or 22. Um, I had gotten now multiple different types of healing sessions, whether it was Reiki, whether it was like plant medicine stuff, whether it was beyond quantum healing with you, mediumship readings, a whole bunch of stuff. And I have not always been able to tap into feeling all of those things and seeing those things. And each time I got attuned with you and Lisa to a new Reiki symbol to advance to Reiki practitioner, Reiki master, I was getting more open. So like think of it as like a lotus flower. There's so many petals and it's got to open, before you can see the full thing. And same thing with like an onion. If you're into like Shrek and stuff like that, you got to peel the onion back until you can get to the root of stuff. And it was our last symbol attunement, so it was like graduation day,
Yeah.
and I had felt a lot more than I had experienced before. I remember, was it the first symbol or second symbol? My arms wound up breaking out into like hives, and
Oh, wow.
I sent you and Lisa a picture. And I was like, "Is this normal?" And you guys were like,
Oh, yeah, I
"Yeah."
remember.
Yeah, it was like it almost kind of looked like boils at one point. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what what am I pulling out of my system?" Essentially
Yeah.
that this physical manifestation is come like, and again, I think I was working from home, so it's not like I was like going out and doing a whole lot because I worked at a school at this point, and I don't think we were back in session yet. And so it's not like I was doing a whole lot, and like I had these hives and I'm like, well, I'm not really allergic to anything. I haven't taken anything like out of my normal. And you guys had said, I'm probably pulling out some stagnant energy, or I'm pulling out something that as I'm becoming more in alignment with this healing,
Mm.
this whatever it is doesn't serve me anymore. And it did disappear. Like I don't have the hives or whatever now years later, thank goodness.
Well,
But
I,
during the last attunement, I remember I was wearing my grandma's sweater. I had lost her in 2019, and she was always, or she still is always, one of the first guides to come through in any of my readings. I feel like anytime I join anything of yours, like I'm always the first person to get someone to come through because she is just who she is. And I remember during that last attunement, me and the other students, we were sitting in a row in our seats. You and Lisa were going and attuning us and doing the different things that you do. And I just remember like this like ball of light opened up in the sky, and I just remember feeling love, and I remember feeling happiness, and I remember feeling joy, and I remember feeling,
yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps again, and I was feeling like all of this like coolness, and then all of a sudden like I saw myself in the middle of like a room. I didn't really like see anything else, and then all of a sudden like a bunch of people started to like come up from like around, like I don't know, wherever I was in this room. And then like, a disco ball came down. And then I just remember like my grandma came up to me and she like hugged me and she was like, I'm so proud of you. You can do it. Like, this is what you're meant to do. The disco ball's going, and like everyone in the background, it turned out to be like, I recognized like my dad's parents who have passed, and like animals who have passed that, I haven't thought about in a while. Like everyone was just there partying and like having a good time. So I was able to I was able to feel like unconditional love, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
like to see my grandma again, who I hadn't seen in a few years because she passed, like, and to like hear her voice, and to like when I hugged her, like, oh, this is her, like to experience that, and then to like see, this disco ball and all of these lights, and to like feel like you're literally in a room having a party at the club, uh, and you're not really there, like that was cool. So, as a little graduation present, like last day of things, I wound up after that experience, I wound up getting everyone little disco balls in our cohort,
Good.
and so
And that
have
was
fun,
like the
man.
best. Yes. I still have
So,
mine. I thought my cat's playing with it. It's somewhere. It fell and she got it. And I have no idea where she put it. But yeah, that was the coolest vision I think I had anybody tell me about like that. That was very, very cool. And you had mentioned when you were attuned, you would break your arms broke out.
mhm.
You know what's funny about that? I do believe that was the second symbol, if I'm remembering correctly. And the second symbol is emotion, right? So that
Oh,
kind
that
of,
would make sense. Yeah. That
doesn't
would
that
make,
make
now that you bring
sense?
that up, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I remember that, and we're going back and forth. I'm like, oh, if you're just Persian, yeah, okay, just
You're
drink
fine.
your
Rub some dirt on
water.
it.
Yeah, you know. Oh wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still have
So
that picture. So if you need a reminder, I'll send it to you.
that's okay. No, it wasn't pretty. No.
No, it freaked me out, man. I just remember I was like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Ah,
It's like, look at my arm. I look like I have leprosy.
all those toxins you were holding on to because you were
Hmm.
afraid to release it. Well, that symbol made you release it. And I think that was a starting point of you coming more into your abilities, right?
Hmm. I would say so, yeah, because like after that, I've had a lot more openness to like my experiences in meditation, my experiences, doing yoga, my experiences either sending Reiki or giving Reiki or receiving it. Like
Yeah.
I have a lot more visions now than I did, previously. And then like coming back to the chakra system, and the solar plexus, like having the confidence to
Yeah.
embody that and not be afraid of who's going to see you and what they're going to say, like now that's where I'm at in this point of the journey, is just
Yeah.
embodying it and just saying, this is me, this is who I am. You don't like it, there's the road, because I don't care, I'm not moving.
um, yeah. So and I think you had to ask like how people how do they do the work? And that's exactly it. Just sitting with being uncomfortable and just letting it come to the surface into your awareness. And you're sitting with that for a minute and you're like, oh, hey, I see you, I hear you, but I don't need you anymore. And working out releasing that and sending it love. And that's all part of the Reiki, the energy healing, all of that is sending you past healing so that you can move forward. Now I'm getting emotional. I don't know why. I, I feel like there's so much there and there's so many layers. What was our favorite saying, Ashley? Do you remember? Just peel the layer of the onion
Peel the
off. Just
layers. Yep.
layer after layer after layer. I mean, it's a lifelong process, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the more you're able to rise above it, you
Yeah, I
know?
would agree. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it's one of my favorite things to do, and I love doing it outside, outdoors. So
Oh, the energy from Earth is just
Oh
so
my
much more
gosh.
powerful if you're able to do it. I was able to do, at least one, I think it was just one session with you before I moved out here, where we were outside. I was by the garbage can.
Yes. The damn garbage can.
But I feel like neither of us
Yeah.
noticed because of how powerful the energy was around us. Or at least
Thank
that's what I
goodness for
say.
that. I'm enjoying your healing, and I'm like, there's a garbage can right there. How did I not even see that? That was, yeah, anyway.
Too funny.
Um, yeah, that was, I love it outside because you get so much more from Mother Earth. Like, you really pull from her, from spirit, and it's just kind of just blankets over both of us. I was getting chilled after chilled after
Oh.
chilled, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Love that. And I think this last session I did, there was there was like, oh my gosh, I can't remember. Yeah. So I was doing her session and it was this old lady, in spirit, just checking, what are you doing? What are you doing over there? You know? And I'm like, you wanna come help? And she did. She came and laid her hand over and it was like, and my client felt it too. She was like, "Who was
Oh.
that?" I just I passed her through, you know.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but then you see, you get the animals. You know, I had a flock of geese come circle around us, just watching us.
Cool.
For one client, and then as soon as it was wrapping up, they all went away.
Huh. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. They
Yeah,
find
I
some
mean,
energy.
yeah, and birds. It's really cool. I love it. I love it. You get so much more from it.
Hmm.
So it's there. Let's see. Anything else you need to add, or anything else you want to say?
I think we're probably good for this episode. I
Yeah, I think.
do I do want you to touch more on whether it be a future episode or the next episode we wind up doing together, but you're beyond quantum healing. Those
Okay.
sessions that you do, because now that we've kind of talked about like inner child healing, letting go of expectations and income or outcomes. I'm sorry, I am trying to manifest income, you're right. But
Yeah.
letting go of outcomes and things like that. And now we've talked about distance healing, not only just physical distance, but I wanted to touch upon, or have you touch upon rather, since you're certified in it, like sending healing to your younger selves or your future selves or your past lives if you subscribe to and believe in reincarnation and things like that. So, for this episode, no, probably good. I hope that all of our listeners enjoyed
Yeah.
where we went.
Sounds
Um,
good to me.
hopefully they
Yeah.
drop, questions and comments and reach out to us for
Yes. Yes.
future
Please.
stuff.
Please.
But
We love interacting with our
mhm,
listeners and stuff. So,
yes.
all right. Till next time.
Until next time. Bye.
Let's go on.